We're always hearing about levelling up. Levelling up means the North needs loads of money and loads of help because everybody in the South is rich and everybody in the South has got loads of facilities and there are no problems in the South whatsoever. Well, you'd believe that, wouldn't you, if you listened to the levelling up agenda? Looking at these numbers on GPs, in Portsmouth, there are 39 practising GPs for every 100,000 people. That's half what they have in Liverpool. You have one of the worst GP ratios in the whole of the country. And I know already from being here today, people saying they simply can't get GP appointments. What the hell's going on?
Well, it's sadly not just GPs, it's dentists as well. We've got some of the worst dental records, and we have done for 2 decades in Portsmouth. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. We are a very working class city. We're in the most affluent part of the country, in the southeast, but we are almost, and it's a bit of a thing for local Portsmouth people, we are the northern city on the south coast, and our health demographics, our outcomes would absolutely correlate with places like Liverpool.
And yet,
but we don't get the...
You've got double the number of GPs you've got, and actually dentistry, I think, is in crisis.
It really is.
All over the country. Yeah, it never, ever gets talked about, does it?
Well, yes and no. One of our MPs, the best one of the two in Portsmouth, Penny Mordaunt, sorry, I had to say that.
Well, maybe
but
a little bit of partisan
she's been working
view expressed there, I think.
It's partisan, I will say that. Yeah, and also because Stephen Morgan beat me in the general election. But aside from that...
bit of sour grapes thrown into.
No, I wish him all the luck. He's a good guy. But actually, although he's a socialist. No, in all honesty, Penny Mordaunt has been working really, really closely with Maria Caulfield, one of the health ministers, and with Sajid Javid, and she has managed to secure money so that the Portsmouth CCG, which has been in first gear for 2 decades, and the council, who haven't really got with the programme on lobbying into government, she managed to secure a contract, so we are now going to have more dentists in Portsmouth. The GP situation, not quite so positive. We do need to carry on lobbying, and there is a lot more that needs to be done.
What is going on here with local policing? What is going on the ground? Is it drugs gangs? What is it? What's at the heart of the problem?
Well, I represent 2 million people, and the 2 cities in Hampshire, Portsmouth and Southampton, have just under 500,000 people between them. But yet 60% of the crime in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, in Hampshire Constabulary, comes from the 2 cities. Now, 2 really big drivers in this. One is drug-related harm. Young people, 10 years ago, how many teenagers were carrying knives? None. Now they carry knives to fund drug addictions, to protect themselves, when they're selling drugs, to fund their own addictions.
So knife crime is a problem.
Hampshire, it's a problem. Yeah. We have a violent reduction unit. We're one of the 12 police forces across the country that has a violent reduction unit, which comes under my direct control, and I get a specific grant from the Home Office for that. Secondly, is domestic abuse. Domestic violence is a massive issue. It's the single largest crime that the police respond to.
How much has lockdown worse than that?
It really did, hugely. Shoplifting, acquisitive crimes, burglaries, they all dropped. ASB dropped a bit in 2020, spiked in 21 when people were allowed to go out more. But domestic abuse was terrible, as was child neglect and child abuse. So there are some really big issues here. But it's not just about those things. It's also about serious organised crime. I think a lot of the members of the public are unaware of the number of crime gangs. We've got 48 serious, organised crime gangs working across this county at the moment.
Wow. And yet, the struggle and one of Boris's big promises, your leader, was to, load more police officers going to be recruited. But it seems again that somehow it's London where the emphasis is, because I can't believe it, that the Met are offering your officers a £5,000 bounty to leave the constabulary here and join the Met. Remembering that we are before the watershed and keep it clean, how do you feel about that?
I am very, very, very unhappy about it. So Stephen House, the temporary assistant commissioner of the Met, who's replaced Cressida Dick, has gone back on a gentleman's agreement from 3 weeks ago when he met with chief constables, and he actually met with a couple of my police commissioner colleagues as well. They said that they weren't going to do this, and the reason this is a problem, they have said they're going to do it, but we are going to be challenging this. So this is all about the police uplift. It's about the 20,000 additional police officers nationally. Here in Hampshire, that means that we have to recruit 498 additional new officers by the 31st of March next year. Now, when I became Commissioner last year, I said that's not good enough. We need 1,000. So I'm going to set you a target of 600 by March next year, and then we'll work on the other 400 over the next couple of years. We're actually going to be OK here. But my colleagues, the other 7 forces that surround London, it's going to cause a significant problem. And, yeah, it could be an issue for the government, particularly for the Prime Minister. If we don't hit the 20,000, it has to be done.
I think the audience agree with you. Yeah, there we are. Well, I can just... Donna, thank you. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. I sense Boris has got another big battle on his hands with Donna.